Hello everyone, my name is Robbo, and today I'm going to be doing a kind of a reaction to the Dead by Daylight Q&A live stream they had last night on Twitch. I was just going through it because it came through on my feed that they'd done it last night, so thought I'd check it out, and this is a part where I thought it would be good to react to what they're going to say. There's been a few questions asked before this, but this is the one that we're really looking forward to. Here we go.
To change the SBMM system to be more skill-based and not based on kills and escapes. I know you could talk about this all day, so I'm going to cut you off if it goes too long.
Yeah, I've got some notes here, but I'm desperately trying to keep it brief. So I'll please understand I am simplifying some things here. Don't read too much into every detail I'm.
Oh, trust me, we know you like to simplify things. The skill-based matchmaking system shows how much you like to simplify things, but come on. Let's hear what you've got to say about this then.
I'm trying to keep this brief. But there's a common misconception that by using just kills and escapes to adjust your MMR, it's ignoring skill in the.
Okay, the air quotes there, yeah, that's really necessary, and yes, it is ignoring skill because kills and escapes do not judge that. If I run the killer for 5 gens and then you get face camped to death, and the Claudette, who's been hiding in a bush for the entire game and escapes, how is she more skilled than me? Please explain that. That is all your system looks at. You still do not explain that. You always glaze over it and just say, no, we don't ignore that. Yes, you do.
Game. This isn't the truth, though. This is false. Kills and escapes are proxies for skill, in that skilled play inherently leads to kills or escapes.
That is bollocks, mate. That is total bollocks. How, I've just said, how in this scenario, how is the Claudette who has done fuck all game, but just hidden, and then escaped while the rest of us died, how is she now the one with the highest MMR? What skill has she shown other than the fact that she knows how to hold L2 and sit in a bush? Please explain that. That makes no sense. How little do you know about your game? You are the lead fucking designer. How do you know so little?
Think about sports, and I'll use hockey as an example because I'm Canadian. You wouldn't say they only count wins when placing teams in the standings, but they should also count shots on goal too.
That is a stupid comparison. That is an absolutely stupid comparison. You cannot compare a real-world sport to Dead by Daylight. That doesn't work. That does not work at all. Also, in a competitive real-life sport, the whole team comes with the same outcome. If in hockey you only score 1 goal as a team, and the other team scores 2, then you lose. You all lose. In Dead by Daylight, that's not how it works. You're a team during the game, but your results after the game, they're individual. You can't compare Dead by Daylight to hockey. You damn idiot.
Skilled player takes more shots. And while that's certainly true, it's important to remember that shots lead to goals, which lead to wins. So you can kind of cut the middleman out there. And that's the key, right? Skilled play leads to wins.
What?
If they don't, are they really skilled plays? Right? If your skilled play doesn't get you to win, was it really a skilled play in the first place?
You're literally just trying to find a way to justify your lazy ass system. Not that I think a skill-based matchmaking system could work in Dead by Daylight, but you have literally made the laziest one possible and are now trying to palm it off using a crap example from the real world. That's fucking stupid, mate.
Everything leads to the same place in DBD, killing survivors or the survivors escaping alive. That's what MMR predicts. The chances of the killer killing survivors or them escaping alive. And it is actually very good at doing that.
It's very good at doing that. How can you say that with a straight face? The MMR system is very good at doing that, predicting the likelihood of killers and getting kills and survivors escaping. It is very good at that. So you're saying your matchmaking system is very good at matching these people who do that? Bullshit, mate. Your matchmaking system is crap and you're just making up lies. That or you just do not understand how your own game works, which, considering you are the lead game designer, is scary.
However, we're looking at some improvements to the current system. An example to take is to take team results into account for survivors in addition to the personal results. This takes some time. We have to iterate on. There's lots of fun math.
Again, why use that? That's such a stupid idea. The thing is, they say how difficult it would be to do all the different nuances, but you can track it in your quests. You can track how many, when you accept a challenge, it tracks how long you've been chased, how many pallets you've dropped and stunned the killer with. If you can track it in the bloody rift, why can't you track something similar for MMR? That makes no sense. You've just done it lazy, as always with everything you do. It's lazy and easy.
Which I could again talk about forever. But we need to prove it out that it's working, that there's value in it, and correlations, so on. More details on that more details on skill-based matchmaking in general are actually in our last dev blog post as well.
No, it really wasn't. I've read a lot of your dev blog posts, and they're crap. Your skill-based matchmaking is crap. Why do you do playtesting with people who don't understand the game? Give it to us. We'll playtest it, and then we'll tell you how shit your system is. Since you don't seem to realize how shit anything you do is until you put it in the actual game and fuck us all over. And I'm speaking for both sides here. You know, it's I don't understand. You don't make sense. You are either just completely clueless about your game. You either clueless, you don't care, or you're just that blinded by how brilliant you think you are that you think the sun shines out of your ass.
Okay. We have a similar question, or not directly similar, but pretty close. From Jeff Philippe, who asks, "Why don't hooks count
Ooh,
towards
this should be
your
good.
rating?"
Yeah, this is a great example of what I was just talking about a minute ago, in a specific case that we did consider and look at and think about quite a bit. The thing with counting hooks is that you end up with weird cases that don't make sense when you take it to its extremes. Say you're a killer who hooked every survivor twice, but
That's a
none
good
of them
killer.
died. If you count
That's a good
those
killer.
hooks towards your rating, then you can easily end up in a situation where that scenario counts as a win, like moves you up the standings.
It should. That's
But
good
that
play.
feels weird. Did you really win? Should your rating go up and make you face stronger opponents, even though all of
Yes.
the survivors got out alive? That probably not.
That doesn't matter. The person has won 8 chases. That person has won 8 chases. Yes, the survivors all escaped, but they won 8 chases if they hooked everyone twice. That's a good killer. Imagine if it's a clown or something winning 8 chases in a game. When you think how long it takes a clown to win a chase at times because of its mechanics. Or a pig or one of those ones. That's a good killer. Are you honestly saying, Nuri, right now, are you looking at us right now and saying that if I play Bubba, face camp one person to death, that I am a better player than the clown that downed 8 survivors, or 4 survivors twice, to get them all hooked twice? So you're saying that winning 8 chases as clown makes me a shitter player than the one chase that a Bubba wins and then face camps? You are fucking clueless.
Right? That's like an obvious moment of like, it doesn't really compute. It also doesn't make sense for the survivors. If you call that a killer win, that would mean the survivors lost, but they all got out alive. So that feels weird to call that a loss on the survivor side.
There's not really a win or loss system. There's not really been one of those for ages. I think as a survivor, I see a win as if I've had fun, which mostly involves if I've head on the killer at least twice in the game. That's my definition of a win. You don't have to have one side win and one side lose in that scenario. You can say that both win. The killer has won 8 chases and gotten everybody hooked twice. And thus they have not camped and proxied either, so they've done a decent job of gen defending and stuff as well. The survivors at the same time, they've saved their friends, they've all escaped. It's not a loss for either side. Both sides have played well in that scenario. I don't see how that's a very difficult thing to see. Both sides can play well, and yet that can happen.
Unless you start saying that everybody in that situation wins.
Yes.
And then as soon as you can have everybody in a game winning, you get some really weird math, some really crazy stuff starts happening. Really,
How does that involve weird math? I don't understand. Like I say, in this particular scenario we've set up, every survivor's been hooked twice, which means every survivor has been doing something because they've been chased and thus hooked. So they'll have done gens, they'll have healed each other, they'll have made saves. At the same time, Killer has won 8 chases. Why does that have to be a loss for the Killer? I don't get that, you know? And same as if a survivor plays really well and they die, if I get 30k points, why does that count as a loss just because the Killer face camped me at the end when the person who got 10k points escaped? Why is that a win and not the survivor with 30k a loss? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute. That's not logic.
really, really fast. So that's part of why we boil it down to kills and escapes as a proxy for good play in the game. It solves all those problems, and it solves a whole bunch of other ones that I'm just not going to get into now because I think we have like 1 or 2 other questions to get into.
It really doesn't. Also, you've got another hour's worth of stream, so you really don't have any faith in what you're saying because you're quite clearly trying to get off the topic as quick as you can. That is bullshit. To use kills and escapes as a crutch like that, to make it a proxy of good play, is stupid. I do not understand that. Again, if I play Bubba, I chainsaw someone down, face camp them, get another kill, say, because somebody tried to make the save and be a good survivor. Or be a good Samaritan, I suppose, not a good survivor, because, in all honesty, a good survivor in that scenario goes off and does a gen. But if I then get that person killed as well, I am now a top-class killer, apparently, because I've gotten 2 kills. So I'm fucking... The sun shines out of my ass in terms of killer play, whereas the guy with 8 hooks is an absolute trash player who should never pick up the game again, I guess. That's... I don't understand. I do not understand this matchmaking system. I do not understand how anyone can actually think it's a good method of tracking matchmaking. Just take it out. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. Anyway, that's the Q&A part for skill-based matchmaking. If there's anything else that they bring back in about skill-based matchmaking later on, then I'll go into that. I think they're going into more general stuff after this, but I will watch through that, and if there's any juicy stuff, I'll tack this on at the end. So if there's not, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Tell me what you think below on their skill-based matchmaking and Mr. fucking Patrick's here opinions. You know, the lead game dev. Yeah, thank you all for watching. All right, so we're back again. We're about 40 minutes in the future from when I finished recording the previous part of this episode, and there was another skill-based matchmaking question pop up. So I thought we'd carry on where we left off. This is from the Japanese community, actually, which is quite good to see that they're embracing questions from the Japanese community as well. So, is skill-based matchmaking really working if the grades are so different? Let's see what the genius over here says. Come on, Patrick, our Lord and Savior, please tell us how wrong we are and how good your system is. Whoops.
I'm overwhelmed. Is skill-based matchmaking really working?
That's a great question. I understand where it's coming from. So first of all, it's important to remember that the grade that you see, in this case, iridescent grade, isn't really an indicator of skill or...
Okay, I can kind of understand where he's coming from there for once. The grade system now doesn't really reflect skill. You just played it a lot. You do have to pip up to get through that, but pipping is so weird anyway, because pipping actually goes kind of against skill-based matchmaking in a sense, because I can get a pip and not escape, and somebody can escape and not get a pip. So the grading system is weird, and it really doesn't correlate with skill-based matchmaking at all. So I can kind of understand where he's coming from for once.
Or MMR, it's not an indicator from the skill-based matchmaking system. Don't be afraid of those folks with iridescent grades showing up. All it means is that they've played a fair bit this month.
One thing I think they should bear in mind, if they're not going to change the rest of the skill-based matchmaking, it should at least incorporate time played. Because if you're a new player and you've gone up against a bunch of new killers on the survivor side. They say you got a bunch of new killers. You've escaped each time. Your MMR is skyrocketing. You're going to get put against the sort of killer that can only really struggle against a survive with friends that are playing really well. That person dominates that new player. They get knocked down. They're still at a high MMR. They get hit by another really good killer, and you see what that's going to do if you keep getting pummeled like that. And it's the same on either side. If killers have really crap survivors when they're new, win a load, and then they're against players that have played for thousands of hours, are in Swifts, and then they get obliterated, that's going to kill any new player base you get. You've got to have time played be, in all honesty, the most important factor in your skill-based matchmaking system if you're just going to do it on kills and escapes, because time played is very important. You cannot expect somebody who's played, 10,000 hours, because there's people out there who have done that, to be put into games with somebody who's played like 10 hours just because they've got a similar escape rate because of who they've been put against. I don't know. It's just, when you've got such a linear system, you've got to take other things into account, and they just don't.
Right? Remember, 13th of every month, everybody goes back down to the bottom. You all start the climb again. So if you play on the 13th or on the 14th, I doubt you'll see too many iridescents, although I'm sure somebody's going to take that as a challenge. So yeah, in terms of the MMR system itself, and I'm going to be very careful when I say this, and put a lot of caveats here. The MMR system itself, the ratings, is absolutely working well.
You fucking deluded idiot. Oh my god. Yep, your skill-based matchmaking system is working perfectly. That's why the entire community fucking hates it. That's why the forums are filled with hate for your skill-based matchmaking system, because it's working perfectly. How fucking deluded are you? You really do believe the sun shines out your ass, don't you, mate? You really do, Patrick, Mr. Lead Game Designer. You really do. If you honestly believe that you are right, and this entire community that actually knows how to play this fucking game, unlike you, is wrong, you're clueless. There's no helping this, is there? It's a lost cause. It really is. How on earth can you be this just blind? Blind of what's quite clearly in front of you, blind of what the community is telling you. You truly believe that what you have created is this good. Oh, God. This is going to give me a nervous breakdown watching this.
I'm going to expect the chat to explode in 2 seconds.
Yes, they should.
We've gathered tons and tons of data that show it's really good at predicting match outcomes.
What data? Let us see this data. I want to see this data that shows that your shit-based matchmaking system works. I want to see this data. Let us see it. You can't just say, we've got data, and just expect to sweep everything else away. That's not how it works. Fucking hell.
Problem, and there is a problem.
Whoa! He just accepted there's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. He's learning. Holy shit! It started. It's going to take about another 10 years for him to realize, oh, my shitty skill-based matchmaking system doesn't work. But hey, he's acknowledged that something's wrong, which is an improvement.
Admitting there's problems here lies more with the matchmaking system itself and the situations where it puts players into a game that it already knows will be imbalanced.
So your what? Huh? So your skill-based matchmaking system works of assigning MMR, but your shit matchmaking system ignores that and puts players in whatever game they want. Is that what you're saying? The game is putting you into games that it already knows is going to be imbalanced. So you have a skill-based matchmaking system that doesn't really reflect the game at all, but the matchmaking system doesn't even really take it into account by what you're saying. So it's basically just pulling random names from a hat and putting them into games near enough. Is that what you're saying? I'm speechless. I really am.
So, matchmaking is always a bit of a balancing act between speed and fairness. You can find matches really, really fast. And
I think a lot of people will take a fair match over one that takes 30 seconds to find. I would rather sit in a lobby for 3 minutes to get a game against a killer that is my level or a group of survivors that are at my level than find a game in 5 seconds and be against a killer who has no experience whatsoever. They barely know how to use a basic attack, or against a group of survivors that flashlight clicking and going in with 4 spare parts and all the top tier perks and everything. I'm going to get demolished in that, and I'm going to demolish the killer in the other scenario. I would rather spend 2 or 3 minutes in a lobby finding a game where we're going to both have a fair chance. And I think that's what the community in general would say as a whole. I feel like the only ones that wouldn't are the top 5% of players who don't really care, I guess, who they put against. They just want to play, which is fair enough, but I'd rather them take the extra couple minutes to find a proper game rather than 30 seconds to go, oh, fuck it, you can go and play with that person. Just like, okay.
in any matchmaking system, but they will be comically unbalanced and unfair and not fun for the people involved. You can also make all matches extremely balanced, but it'll take hours to find them. It would be really easy for us to say every match is perfectly balanced if y'all
Going for the Thanos method there. I really don't think it takes that long to make matches that are fairly balanced, especially now that you have your fucking linear MMR system. MMR system should actually reduce queue times by quite a bit because you've just got to assign them to people of the same around skill level, which I don't think should take that long. Personally, I don't know. We don't even know what MMR numbers are. At least give me a counter. I could have 13 million MMR for all I know. The thing is, the hackers can actually see that. They can actually see MMR, which is quite interesting, but we can't. Just put a counter on the screen. You've got counters for fucking everything else. Why can't I just have a counter that says, oh, your MMR is 1,312, or whatever the fuck it is? I don't know. That doesn't seem like too big of a thing. If you're going to continue with this skill-based matchmaking, that doesn't seem like that big of a ask, really.
were willing to wait for 3 hours to play every single match. That doesn't sound like a good time, though. There are places in our system that prioritize speed over fairness right now a little bit too much. And I think one of the prime examples, and likely where a lot of these problems are coming from, is from a concept that we call backfilling. This is when a player quits from a lobby or doesn't manage to connect to the lobby due to a network issue that they're having. The lobby where you're seeing all the players before the game actually starts. In this case, when a player doesn't make it in or they disconnect from there, we massively prioritize speed.
Well, that makes a lot. That explains why I get such bloody awful survivors sometimes when they leave. So, let's get this straight. The killer was an even MMR to us. The killer that we were going to be against leaves. They then throw the first available killer in there. This could be a killer that gets 4Ks every match, or a killer that barely knows how to use their power, is what you're saying. That's dumb. Why? I don't understand. Like I say, with skill-based matchmaking in place, their god-tier MMR system, as they seem to believe it, how does the game struggle that hard to find people of an equal level? You've now got a number assigned to us all because of MMR. This is what our MMR is. Surely there's enough players on there for it to go, right, we need to be looking for a player between this value and this value. Oh, look, there's all these ones. Let's pick that one. Rather than, oh, look, there's all these players here. We'll go with that one. But that one's got 500 difference to the rest. It doesn't fucking matter. We'll just get that one. That's dumb. Really dumb.
We're really focused on the fact that you've already waded through a matchmaking queue, and we want to get you in that game. So we.
That's not. Why? Why do you think? Oh my god, we've waited because we want a fair, fun game where both sides are interacted. There's no fun for either side if you're against somebody who's nowhere near your skill level, because you're either going to get demolished or you're going to demolish them. That's not fun. I've had those games. I've had those games on both ends of that spectrum where I've been demolished and I've demolished the opposition. And that's no fun. You want a good, fair match. I don't know,
Prioritize speed there, but that really causes the balance to suffer. Especially in situations, I think that happens to killer players. You can be a killer player who gets sucked into a game due to that speed criteria for those other 4 survivors. But whoops, now you're really far out of the skill range that match really should have called for. So that is something very, very specific that we're looking at improving right now.
Sure.
At least he is acknowledging that is a problem, and yes, killers do get the worst end of that. But the fact that this game has been out for so long now, and this is still a prominent problem. That's the thing, guys. This game came out in 2016, I believe. Was it 2016? And it still has problems that games that are in beta stages don't even have. Like, you've got a good enough player base, especially with cross play now, even though the problem is a lot of PC players turn off crossplay now, or a lot of Steam players turn off crossplay because they don't want to get put up against Epic Games Store players because they're bloody hackers. So, but it looks like that was the end of that particular category. I don't think they'll bring up another skill-based matchmaking question, but you really don't understand your game, mate. You really don't. I'm not a fantastic player at this game. I'm a very good player, I would say. And I have a much better grasp of how this game works than you do. Unfortunately, and this is the same with a lot of things that go on with behavior around Dead by Daylight, they like to sweep things under the rug and pretend everything's okay. You know, they very rarely acknowledge. I mean, he has acknowledged at least there is a problem in this, so you know that is a start. It's only taken him like 5 years to realize that, but God. I love the fact though that he can actually sit there with a straight face and say that skill-based matchmaking works when all of the community says otherwise. There is a very small percentage of the community that will actually agree with that statement. And the fact that kills are seen as a win is a big problem with this. That's the big problem. That's what causes a lot of the play. And the same with escapes being the big thing. When you're against the players that are looking to boost their MMR, and this is either side, you will get killers that will tunnel and camp. And this isn't me criticizing them for it, because this is the system that they have forced into place. They will slug for the 4K. Same with survivors. They will play very passively. They will throw down pallets straight away rather than focus on looping, because they just want to get away and escape at the end. And that will screw over their team, because they'll have thrown down all the pallets. In late game, your teammates will be getting chased, and they will get slapped down because there's no pallets to use. But the person that threw all those pallets down and escapes gets the MMR boost. And that's the problem. You are promoting shit play from both sides. I would say that the game is probably, in terms of play styles, at the worst state it has been since the early days. Back when all survivors had to do was run Saboteur and they won. When the game first came out, if you ran Saboteur and a toolbox, you won because hooks didn't respawn, so you just broke all the hooks. The only ones that you couldn't break were the basement ones, so you just made sure you stayed on the opposite side of the map. And I think that is the only time in this game's history where the gameplay has been worse. I think people play with a very shit style now. Which is why I can't play solos. It's not in my... it's not in me to play like that. I play with very little concern over stealth. I'm running almost all the time. I'm running between gens, I'm running from totem to totem, and I'm running from the killer. I leave scratch marks all over the map. I don't care about stealth, because stealth gameplay doesn't reward you in any way, shape, or form. All stealth gameplay in this game does is slow the game down. It's all about speed. But because of your new matchmaking system, people aren't doing that. They are playing to protect themselves. The amount of times I'm left on hook now, I'm hooked once and killed, it's insane. Because people won't play altruistically anymore. There's no reward for it. Your skill-based matchmaking system doesn't work. As I said before, if I run the killer for 5 gens and then get killed, why does my MMR go down and then the Claudette who hid in a bush and got 10k points, hers goes up? That's not how skill-based matchmaking works. You can't use such a linear system for this game. It doesn't work. This is not Call of Duty, where you can just use kills and deaths as a very precise way to judge someone's skill. Because that you can. It's if you've shot someone to death first or they've shot you to death. This isn't that simple. I don't understand how they can't see that and can think that they've got such a good skill-based matchmaking system. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. I could rant forever about this. Tell me what you think. I go over to Twitch and just watch the whole thing so you can just laugh at some of the things they say. They do a good job of avoiding some questions, I think, and answering some of them relatively quick so they don't have to defend their bullshit too much. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Like I say, tell me what you think in the comments below and go over and watch it if you want a good laugh at how little they seem to understand their own game and the problems within it. Thank you all again, and I'll see you next time.